Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at the category of Best Actress. Now, 2017 has been an incredible year for women, not just in movies but in general, so I imagine a lot of eyes are going to be focused on who wins this category. And it's interesting that 4 of the 5 nominees in this category star in movies that are nominated for Best Picture, which is a rarity and it shows that the times are changing. But let's take a look and see who's going to win this category. Fifth most likely to win is Meryl Streep in The Post. Now, some people might be like, oh, well, it's Meryl Streep. I gotta vote for her. I gotta put her on my ballot. I mean, she wins every year, doesn't she? No, she doesn't. She gets nominated every year, practically. This is her 21st nomination. But she doesn't win every year. She's only won 3 out of those. In fact, I think Steve Martin made an interesting point when he hosted the Oscars in 2009. He said, Meryl Streep has the more nominations than any other actress, or as I like to think of it, the most losses. Now, last year she was nominated for Florence Foster Jenkins, and even though a lot of people liked her performance in that, I think there was a general consensus that she wasn't going to win. And it's the same thing here. It's like, oh, we like her performance in this, so we'll nominate her, but she's not going to win. You see this a lot recently. Even with Into the Woods, a lot of people say, oh, it's just a Meryl nomination. It's just, we're nominating Meryl Streep because we can. I mean, a lot of people like the film. It is a Best Picture nominee, but I can't imagine that they're going to vote for it. It's a good film, it's a good performance, but a lot of people feel, oh yeah, well, Meryl Streep can do this kind of performance in her sleep now. So, unless we see something that truly is incredible and truly blows us away, I can't imagine that Meryl Streep is going to win this award. Okay, 4th most likely to win is Margot Robbie in I, Tonya. So in this film, Margot Robbie plays Tonya Harding, the famous Olympic skater. She and Meryl Streep are the only nominees in this category to play real people, which is interesting. What's interesting about Margot Robbie's performance is that, well, for starters, she is the only nominee in this category who is not in a Best Picture nominee, which hurts her chances. She is very, very good in the film, and she is working opposite a performance by Allison Janney that seems very, very likely to win an Oscar. So I think Margot Robbie will definitely get some votes, but I can't imagine her winning. The fact that her film isn't a Best Picture nominee sort of makes her the wild card in the race. Sure, people love the film, but I don't know to what extent. And plus, Margot Robbie is very young, and a lot of people will have the attitude, well, oh, she'll get her Oscar eventually, presuming she continues to do the amazing work that she's doing currently. So Margot Robbie, very, very good in I, Tonya, but I just find myself doubting that she's going to win for it. Maybe if the film were a Best Picture nominee, she'd have a better chance, but it just doesn't seem likely that she's going to win. 3rd most likely to win is Saoirse Ronan in Lady Bird. Now, this is interesting because Saoirse Ronan, she's in her 20s. She's playing a high school senior in this film, and she's so young, it's surprising to learn that this is her 3rd nomination. She was previously nominated as a child for Atonement, and then just 2 years ago she was nominated for the movie Brooklyn. And I think a lot of people really love her and love her in this film. The film itself is very, very popular, but I don't know if there's much of a reason to vote for her. It's not exactly the flashiest performance. It's definitely a good performance, and her American accent is very, very convincing, but I just don't feel that she has enough support to win. Some people might be like, oh, well, it's her 3rd nomination. I feel compelled to vote for her. But at the same time, there's the same argument I used with Margot Robbie, and it's like, oh, she's young, she'll win eventually. Like, she's doing a ton of Oscar-friendly projects. Eventually, she's going to win her Oscar. And that's a bit of a difficult mindset to get into because sometimes they just never get around to awarding them an Oscar. Like, you're kind of seeing this with Amy Adams now. You're like, oh, she'll win one eventually, but then she was snubbed last year for Arrival, and it's like, oh, hopefully she does one that gets her one. So, I think Saoirse Ronan will win an Oscar eventually, but I don't think it's going to be for this film. She does have a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy, which helps, but I just don't think she has enough momentum to win. Second most likely to win is Sally Hawkins in The Shape of Water. Now, Sally Hawkins plays a mute woman who falls in love with a mysterious sea creature referred to as an asset, the asset specifically. And the performance is very, very good. It's a mute performance, which means some people might be like, oh, I don't really get it. She doesn't do that much in the film, but her work is harder to get a grasp on than it might initially appear, because she has to make this character come alive without any words, and that's harder to do than people think it is. Plus, the movie is one of the top 2 contenders to win the Best Picture Oscar, and it has so many love. It has the most nominations of any film this year. I think a lot of people absolutely love Sally Hawkins. This is her second nomination. A lot of people say that she was snubbed 9 years ago for Happy Go Lucky. I don't know. I think she's very, very likely to win. It's possible. It's possible that she gets enough votes to win. If she had won BAFTA, then I'd be saying seriously look out for her to take this on Oscar night. But the reason I'm not predicting her ultimately is because of 2 reasons. One, because it is a mute performance, and those are harder to get a grasp on. And also, it is a bit of a genre film, and some Oscar voters don't like that too. But even outside of that, I think the bigger reason is because Sally Hawkins, she's won a few critic stuff, but she hasn't won any of the major televised awards. Those have all gone to the number 1 most likely to win choice, that being Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Now, in my personal opinion, I think Frances McDormand gives the best performance of the year, male or female, lead or supporting. She is truly incredible in this film. She plays a grieving mother 1 year after her teenage daughter was raped and murdered, and the police still have not found and apprehended the man who did it, and she is completely determined to find him. We see over the course of the film her grief manifests in the form of anger and rage. And what's interesting is that she is not a perfect character. Like, her character, she definitely has a good motivation, and she sounds like she would be the hero of the film, but over the course of the film, she does legitimately bad things in the name of justice. And a lot of the film is just about anger and when does anger go too far. And it's a beautiful film, it's a beautiful script. Sally Hawkins is so incredible in it. The scene with the deer is, in my opinion, one of the best acted scenes of the year. She's so good in that scene. And she's so good in the rest of the movie, too. Now, granted, she already has an Oscar for 1996 for Fargo, but I think she's going to win again. She's won everything else. She won Globe, SAG, BAFTA, Critics' Choice. People seem to really like her. She's given very good speeches at those ceremonies. I think if people like the film, then they have to award her. She is the heart and soul of the film, and she is why the film works as well as it does. I think that in this case, I can't imagine Frances McDormand losing the Oscar. I think Sally Hawkins and Saoirse Ronan will definitely get votes, and some people will definitely want to win. If you're looking for a shocker, Hawkins or Ronan could walk away with it. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Frances McDormand is going to take this hands down. So that's my prediction. Thank you for listening. Tune in tomorrow where I take a look at the category of Best Animated Short.